How do you manage?
Yeah.
Like, it involves my mind. How do you manage?
I know they use LinkedIn Plus. It's fine. Some people have been able to follow me to LinkedIn aside you. I managed to drag you there. Work.
Agenda.
Relax. They record. They record. You don't want to get to trouble for
Sorry.
this.
I think that's a good start for the episode. Hello guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the South Thoughts Novice with myself, Dr. Obey, Matolakwa, and Silas Bimpong. Don't worry, you didn't hear what Silas said before I started recording. Yes.
Charlie. Next time, the job will depend on something we see at the PSF.
You know, right? All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Taught Novice. And it's been a minute. And I hope you've been enjoying the previous episodes. If you haven't, please do.
What happened to the snippets, the video snippets? You've never released any.
So I released one. I tried one on my WhatsApp status, but then I realized that it came without the audio. So meaning I was projecting that if I put it on some of these other platforms, it may come without the audio. Basically because of I'm sure it's the format I saved it in, .mov. So so the new not exactly. So I render it in QuickTime. The only video format on the app is QuickTime currently. So QuickTime means that QuickTime is an Apple something, and Apple's format is .mov. So I don't know if so it is like WhatsApp takes the MOV just as the picture without the audio. So
what does it make sense like if you share it to like someone on iMessage, the person downloads that as a video, and then the person then shares it from there to WhatsApp. When that change the file conversion?
So that's like that workflow is too long. Every week that workflow will be too long. So
why don't you just upload it to YouTube and we could download a stripped down version on our various platforms and share that.
Or I can reduce the. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out because I've done a second one for the second episode that needed a snippet. So when I try that out, don't worry, relax, relax. Everything.
I know, but like episodes past where they release snippets for like 2 episodes, it will be some way you do up.
Yeah. Or we can just continue from where the new episode is at, because I'm also thinking of even reducing the quality. Currently, the quality is 1080.
I told you that the quality was always a problem.
But good quality is also nice. I mean,
good quality.
1 minute, 600 megabytes.
Okay,
Charlie, remember the country you're in.
All right. So let's quickly move on to today's episode. So today we are looking at social media in general. We will touch on we'll touch on topics like cyberbullying, cancel culture, e-commerce, and the election. All right. Why you know the election in the first as I mentioned that the election.
I just heard the election. I'm going to be honest. I just heard it.
I wrote the election.
Look, I wrote it here.
But I didn't hear it initially. Yeah, I mean I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
Oh, because it's actually it was Twitter pressure, elections, and social and cyberbullying. So I mentioned the 3. So elections was sandwiched in between them.
Okay.
If you type it out and you shared it on the screen, it would help. But
okay, so let me send it in the chat so that we can. Yeah. Anyway, so Maxwell just made us aware that he doesn't use what's the name WhatsApp,
And
Yeah,
it's
why
because
not a
don't you use WhatsApp?
fellas, back me on this one. It's not essential. It's not oxygen. They hear say you go use WhatsApp. Are they like
I wish I could say that.
I mean, I can't back you 100% because I'm still on WhatsApp and I use it. But like, it, as you rightly
Right
said,
now,
it's
I have
definitely not
about eight.
oxygen.
I have about 8 groups for the innovation center, and they are all active and they run. So there are
Okay.
there are project groups. There are 2 community groups, and one is full. The other one is getting full. We have a management group. We have a steering committee group. We have the people who are the media people are running the center. There's a group for that one too, and we have a group for the media team. We have a group for the guys who do 3D printing at the center and all those things.
basically
So
you
for
have a
me-
lot of groups?
Yes, just for one thing. So for me, like, and WhatsApp is now an easier way to reach out with people, especially adults. I've realized that now older people
Yeah.
are so addicted
Yeah.
to WhatsApp that it's
Yeah.
easier to get access to
Yeah.
them by WhatsApping them as compared to calling them.
Yeah, they'll be
Yeah.
like, text me on the WhatsApp platform.
And I mean, that's the closest they come to being tech savvy, I guess.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, so Max, we are not moving from it. So tell us why.
I don't use WhatsApp because I don't have much of my business being connected there. Unlike you, who conduct various lines of communication are there, I resort to conventional text and calls because of what I do. So if the need does come up, I'll go there. But until then, I just find it as a bit extraneous. It's not a vital need. So yeah, I think I've been off for like 6 months. I think since February. So I've been doing well.
Oh.
No big deal.
Hey, wow.
That's a long time.
How do you manage? Like, it involves my mind. How do you manage?
I know they use LinkedIn Plus. It's fine. Some people have been able to follow me to LinkedIn aside you. I managed to drag you there. It worked. Some people are there, but generally my contact lines have dropped by like 90%. It should tell you how I'm managing. It's hard, but we're getting by.
Hey, Charlie, in business, there's something called the law of scarcity. So
Hey,
the more
Jimmy.
scarce it is, the more people, the higher the value it becomes. So they increase in value by making body scarce.
Word.
You don't understand. All right. So I think we should start with Twitter pressure. Twitter pressure. Twitter.
I'm sure that accounts for that thing on Silas's head. Twitter pressure, right?
Twitter pressure. My hair.
Also.
I've already thought about this mistake.
Hey, it's a
for
lifelong
real.
achievement to you.
Oh yeah, Nana, he needed the freedom to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think Obi had seen me. I braided my hair once in school. Finally, yeah. So it's not exactly.
You
Twitter
don't
pressure.
strike me as someone who, would want to do the unconventional. You don't strike me as someone who wants to do that thing. Opening, does he strike you as someone? You are some law-abiding citizen. As someone who rogue.
No, when it comes to hair,
Well, I know him very well, so I disagree what you're saying.
like when it comes to hair, like my family is a bit different because I braided my hair. Like my mom used to braid my hair when I was little. My brother.
It's a very liberal family. Are you both
Yeah, my brother
Ghanaians?
was, yeah, we're all Ghanaian. They just are like in our family, like everyone has a lot of hair, so like we just like to experiment with people's hair. Like I have baby pictures with
Right.
braids, so it's not
Wow.
exactly social media pressure. You could say it's family pressure, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
What you need to do is to start rapping, and that adds it all, right?
No. Your family would accept that.
Charlie.
Anyway, so every day we see people do all kinds of things in the name of social media. We've seen a new trend of people showing too much skin. We've seen a social trend of now 22 in my own apartment, 22 with a penthouse.
Charlie.
You see people showing bundles of cash. We see people 4.0 GPA going to Harvard.
Yep.
MIT,
Posting up acceptance letters and all that. We see it.
acceptance letters. Oh, Charlie. And I regret not posting some of my acceptance letters.
And bouncing
Anyway,
acceptance letters.
and bouncing,
Remember?
exactly.
No. The bounce
You
happened
see
for
that
LinkedIn.
too?
You know they happen for Twitter.
No, they happened.
The bouncing.
There was this
The
tweet
bouncing
about a guy who got.
for LinkedIn.
Oh, the bouncing to the happened for Twitter. As much
He mentioned, I got to admission. They were like, "Oh, we expect you." He said, "Who said I'm going to accept it?"
Yeah, we said I'm going to accept.
Okay. That's what you mean.
Yeah, that tweet.
The Oxford
but then
tweet.
he explained
Not the
that.
Oxford.
Yeah, the Oxford tweet. But then he explained that, like, I think he was in a particular city, and his dad wants him to school in that same city, so not to go outside. That was basically the explanation. But he wanted to go to, but the way he just put that tweet out, it just said wrong vibes.
Being in Salas, with Twitter pressure, personally, it doesn't get to me. Although sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, in fact, suffocating when you see all that going on. But it moves some people to do so many things, so much so that you almost see that it's actually for the show of it that they do, and it's not they enjoying themselves. For example, I see a lot of people posting their couple goals and their dates and all that, and with fancy captions and getting reactions to it. But then I start to wonder, what's the whole point of it all? I know they see that pressure, or they touch with me. I know they see.
I think fundamentally as human beings, everyone seeks status, everyone seeks recognition. So it sort of makes sense that like people want to share how good they are doing in order to gain certain level of status. And with the onset of social media marketing and branding, like people leverage on that to like, I don't know, build an image for themselves to get like brand use. An example is Jayla Brene.
Who is that?
Is what I call a Twitter mom. She posts like I think she recently gave birth, but then she
is it the one with the small guy, the small boy?
Yeah, the small boy.
And she's now pregnant again.
Oh no, she's giving birth.
She has given birth again to the daughter.
Yeah, to the daughter. Like it's been like 2 or 3 weeks back. Yeah.
Oh, seriously? Because that young one is so cute. I've been sending the pictures to somebody. It's like, oh,
hey, who's that somebody?
You know they hear, but yeah, anyway, that young one is so like, cute.
Yeah, like the baby is very cute. And you see, like everyone wants to front in a certain way. Like fundamentally, I feel like as human beings, if you get like some nice cake or some nice watch or something, you definitely want to flex. And with social media, is basically like the avenue where like you can reach a larger crowd of people to like flex on. And in that sense, it sort of feeds your ego for recognition or status, if I may say. So fundamentally, everyone does that. I mean, one way or the other, we post on our status. We have LinkedIn posts. Everywhere we see something now to gain recognition. Even this podcast. Yeah, we are talking so that people know that we have sense.
Yeah, we have sense, exactly.
I could always counter that by not counter per se, but try and tell you that it's more nuanced than how you want to like simplify it, because it depends what kind of recognition. Like you say, social media marketing, people might post a cake because he's an influencer and he wants to up the sales. Makes perfect sense. But things that typically are not consumer related and people are still putting it out there, like how before we began the conversation, we're talking about like the whole goal is gratification and self-promotion, like university acceptance letters, gotten a grant and he wants to flaunt it. All these things, I don't see, they are more personal than they are, let's say, professional and whatnot. So it really, really flies over my head in a certain way when I see people like you go on a date and you post it. What the hell do you want to achieve? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. Like these are stuff I wouldn't do. I mean, you and you are cuddling and stuff. You post it. You make TikTok videos about it. Oh my goodness!
Is it
They are
not
making
how
single people
TikTok,
like
yeah.
Silas
You
and
see,
Obing
Is it
you
not
just
see
how
swim
dating
and they're
relationship
lonely
goals,
and all that. What the
Charlie.
hell?
If you be single way they watch relationship
No,
goals
but
on
then
TikTok,
is it
you
not?
go sick.
You know, right? But is it not about perspective? Because, for
Yeah,
example, there are some things you may look at and you see it and to be like, oh, you see and be like, oh, it's so encouraging. It will make me push harder because this person is my age and this person has been able to achieve it. So meaning I can actually be able to achieve
But
X,
I
Y,
told you
or
that
Z.
there's a clear line between what is personal and what is professional and what is consumer related. The personal stuff, I don't support you flaunting it or putting it out there. Like,
so,
let's
like,
say, like I say, you are going on a date, very personal. Let's say, in a professional capacity, you've gotten admission to study at Oxford. People could probably factor you into their network. It's a plus for you. A lot of people do that on LinkedIn. When they get, let's say, scholarships or opportunities, they make people know that they are making big.
I did one recently.
Yeah, global shapers.
Yeah.
They see your body pass you. So yeah.
oh, but like in the
that
tech,
one.
in the tech community, just it was something very popular. Like if you get a job
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
Microsoft, you post that like I have a job at Microsoft, Google, and all that.
So
Like,
ego boosting. For what?
not exactly ego boosted. I mean, it works in two ways. First of all, for instance, like if
Professionally.
professionally, like you want people to recognize you for whatever achievements you have unlocked. So, for instance, if you get a job into like Microsoft or Google or Facebook, everyone like in society then be given a certain kind of status based on
Your
your
level of
usual
achieving. How you
yeah,
reach.
exactly. Because basically everywhere you go, everyone relates to you based on like your status in society or the amount of respect they have for you. So, like, if you have a software engineer working in a local company I'm using software because I work in tech. So, you just a local software, I'll say local software, a software engineer who works in Ghana, compare that person to a software engineer in Google or Amazon or Facebook. They might probably be of the same level, but in terms of status worldwide, people will give like much more credibility to someone coming from that background.
International exposure and all.
Yeah. So I feel like all that also counts for people to front and maybe like let's see, okay, if you see me somewhere, you know, see Charlie me to a D and kind of things.
Obing,
Yeah.
one time, Obing and I were having a very heated conversation. In fact, it was pretty much Obing was giving off the heat because he was pissed about the fact that Twitter and Instagram prices are way too much, and he was making certain comparisons, not very logical, but certain. He goes to the market and buys a food item, and on Twitter or on Instagram, is going for like 4 times the price, and he can't believe people are being ripped off. You know the Bob Charlie. The boy was doing some accounting for my front end, and you see, he has such a huge issue with the overpricing, and he thinks it's an effect of social media. That's how come he probably factored it into this conversation.
You know, mind now.
Because you see a lot of people, your car guy, your what? Your guy, this kind of stuff. The prices they take whack, bro.
Wow. It's now 5 cedis. Once you can buy egg in the market, 70
pesos. You lie.
It's true.
In Kumasi or in Accra?
Accra, of course. Can you sell such a thing, Kumasi?
Okay. I'll be like, you guys are correctly Kumasi. That's because I haven't bought it in a long time, so I'm actually surprised. This is very new to me.
Whilst egg in the market is 70 pesos.
Now wait, one egg is how much?
70 pesos.
Then the kusia, I see the kusia.
And when you buy pepper, about 30 pieces is like 30 quite even too small. About 40 pieces is like 1 CD. So if you add your onion,
I had to make a case for husband of the year on this podcast that no girl will be listening to this and
Oh yeah,
thinking
and for
you
all
are
the ladies who are
probably
listening,
gay.
Obi say,
Oh
can
God.
qualify as the.
I am I am I am I am I'm a I'll be a stay-at-home dad.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I aspire to be a stay-at-home dad. Right now, thanks to Corona, I'm living my dreams. Anyway, so basically,
Oh,
I
but
feel
what do you
people
think
overprice
influences
stuff.
these exorbitant prices? What do you think influences it?
I think the whole
Because
social
there's
media
sometimes
culture.
there's
Yeah, I think it's the whole social media culture of people flaunting riches and wealth. So it gives other people the illusion that, oh, these people can afford these things. So let me what market to them. You understand? But then you realize that social media is less than 10% of the actual market you may be targeting. Okay, but then if you are targeting students, maybe it's about 50% of that market. But then if you are selling things like, let's say, if you are selling things like cars, you know that Twitter is like 15% of your target market.
even less.
Even less, you understand? And those people may not be able to afford it. But then you see a Honda Civic and they are selling this for like close to 100,000 US dollars, 100,000 CDs, and they'll justify it by coating it with a new spray paint or something, and they'll come and put it in your face. But I feel
It's not too far removed from Ghanaian culture and society, especially when it comes to buying. If you study, we have this idea that Nibonye Dia and your papa, who's studied that thing in Ghana? Have you studied that?
I realized it until I started to buy from China, and I realized that they boy in the cry, read the reviews. It will be fine. When you buy it, it will work.
You are different, you understand? But this is a reality. A lot of people, even when they don't come across or they don't really have the purchasing power, there's this whole perception that it has to be costly to be of good quality. You understand? And it's there. I think this reality is pretty much present everywhere. Most of us have experienced it. You understand? How come people rip people off? And it's spilled over into our social media culture, such that we are pricing things way out of their normal range, and people have actually come to accept it.
The general perception is that if you go to bend down boutique,
Yeah.
Ukoto foods like Unkoto at the papa, like that kind of thing. Even though like if I may say, I also patronize it sometimes, and then like you realize that like the lifespan for some of the clothes you get from those stores are actually like longer as compared to something you get from um, a branded shop or something of that sort. But
That's true.
due to the way it has been branded as a bend down boutique, Ukoto Foods, that kind of thing, we ourselves have already given it a certain, like as I said the last time, there's a certain status for clothes that come from shops like that as compared to shops
Yeah.
that come from as compared to clothing that come from branded stores. And now with social
Yeah.
media, once someone does like some has like a very good photo shoot for their products lineup and has some small like graphic design and editing, you sort of
Yeah.
you sort of had this deception that, oh, this thing actually looks dope. Meanwhile, it's possible that full scramble on Makwakofa and they branded
Yeah.
it
That's true.
nicely and then
No, they
it's
call
not
it
I see a lot
thrift.
of,
They call it
on top of
thrift
it.
store.
yeah. It's about to say
Thrift
that
store.
of thrift stores on Instagram now.
Yeah, because I think most I'm not exactly sure, but I think I should probably say like 50 or 40% of them probably get their stock from these kind of shops and then slap their prices on them. It's an assumption though. I'm not speaking based on facts. Disclaimer alert.
Anyway, so I mean, I feel people should change that attitude because they made their mentor that, told their mentor. Anyway, speaking of overpricing things and false assumptions, we are heading towards an election. And social media seems to be playing a major role in this year's elections, just as it played a major role in the 2016 elections. But then there's been a good trend of fact checking and cross referencing of the words of politicians. That one I really like how Ghanaian netizens are. I like what Ghanaian netizens are doing. It's plausible, and there's also the other side where party food soldiers. Is that a politically correct term? Party food soldiers, or let me
Yeah.
say, so no,
I
let
think
me
so.
just say social media users before someone comes for my neck. Social media, the way some social media users seem to be attacking the other side or others who don't necessarily believe in the
MPP Twitter, NDC Twitter, you know them, you know
Exactly.
them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This
What do
year
you
they
guys
hit
think?
too. He hit
What do you
past
guys
Yes.
think about
2016.
it?
Ah.
Serious heat. Serious heat.
I mean, check your LinkedIn. I sent you an article there.
All right, I'm opening it. And what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think America says as a very nice use case as like how social media can really be used to like rally votes for one political party. And I don't know, I think there's a news that Cambridge
Max,
Analytica.
so do you know I saw this article. I wanted to mention it today, but I was like, I read
Which
this
article is like?
article. I'm coming to open it.
Project it to the screen.
I
Let's
read
see.
this article, bro. I read this article. Even I read it from the original website. Not even Ghana Web wasn't even the original people who posted it.
Funny enough, I was actually looking at the same.
Yeah, like, hey.
You're also looking at the same thing.
Yeah. I'd be like, that quite high Ghana's was blah blah. Like it's very similar to this.
So apparently, okay, Salah, please finish with your submission so that we can continue. Sorry for interjecting.
Maybe I'm not some American company. I was basically saying that like America says as a very fine use case for like how social media could be utilized to rally an election or rally votes for a, a political party. So in terms of like right now we have on social media, or should I say Ghana Twitter right now, where we have the two main political parties, NDC Twitter and MPP Twitter, both having like heated exchanges as like who is a better fit for the presidential seat for Ghana. I mean, both of them make fair arguments, but then again, you tend to realize that it's not just about having different political views on social media, but then the kind of ads you see on social media also influence who
But
you'd like
Silas,
to vote for.
how far reaching do you think MPP and NDC and those political Twitter, how far do you think they go in influencing the whole election thing? How far?
I mean, based on, I don't know the Twitter population of Ghana, if we could actually check that. I mean, if we could actually measure that, then we'd see based on the population of Ghana on Twitter. Basically, that's where it influences. I don't know if that makes sense. Because outside Twitter, I doubt if you're not on Twitter, you won't see something. So,
But for
like
me,
the same way, like the same way, like people, like you realize that on US Twitter, everyone thought that Hillary would win because everyone was pro Hillary or pro Democratic, and it was like no one would actually vote for Trump and all that. But then people actually failed to recognize the fact that the population on Twitter actually forms a small part of the entire US population. So you should also think about the other people who are not on Twitter. How are they influenced? What do they think about when like making election decisions? So all those are things you need to think about before you can see or before you can actually measure the influence of Twitter on.
And Twitter really is not a fair metric to determine impact, because you see, for example, Donald Trump has like 84 plus followers, and not all of these people are American. So you see Donald Trump tweeting and people reacting to it, and it looks like it's gaining ground and there's exposure. But obviously not everyone is from America, not everyone is even eligible to vote and whatnot. In the same vein, in Ghana, people, MPP Twitter, NDC Twitter, trading bros and all, you see, you get a lot of, they can open out on the top trends list in the country, but the reactions doesn't translate into the electorate directly. So it's not really a fair way to measure it. So yeah. But
That's
anyway,
true.
speaking about the internet and politics,
what has
being
happened?
the article.
The article, yeah. So basically, the people who ran an Akufado's campaign weren't Ghanaian. He contracted a consulting firm.
Our very
which
own
is-
Cambridge Analytica scandal, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of. So the KRL International, which is an American PR firm, so the founder, it's been alleged that the founder is a specialist in dirty lobbying and influence operations. And the founder was part of the people who led the NPP campaign. So what they did was that they found themselves in they were able to I only call it infiltrate because the party allowed this. So they were running through certain departments of what's the name? They were running through certain departments of the party, and they were handling things like social media, what the president will say, the president's messaging, when the president is going to have any speech. They are the ones who wrote all those things for them. And it's come out that this is a country and that the contract was about 7,500 USD per month without expenses. But the payments were much higher than that because the I Am for Nana Foundation has already paid KRL about 100,000 US dollars for consulting services and travel related expenses. And I don't know what to think about it, whether is it good or is it bad? Because for me, one side is spending.
Personally, from a very apolitical standpoint, I find it scary because it reinforces the idea that in the end, most of the decisions we make at the polls is influenced by external forces, so much so that policy or facts or let's say real tangible metrics don't matter anymore. And it's usually who can grab your attention the best. Because if you've noticed, and I've noticed this thing, for the past 2 or 3 months, a lot of NPP Google ads are out there. If you've seen it, I've seen a lot. I mean, when you open Play Store, when you open sites, you see a lot of Google ads, NPP, NDC alike. So it should tell you that social media and the likes is now becoming a tool to influence the electorate. And this is a serious thing. So yeah.
But for me, on the other side too, I'm like, okay, the strategy worked because they are now in power, and to take power from an incumbent, you need to go the extra mile, and these people did just that to go the extra mile. So that's what do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually not. I mean, Maxwell makes like some very solid points about how scary it is, but then from a tech perspective, where basically for any product you want to sell, you obviously want to make data-driven decisions to back whatever decision you make. So, for instance, an example is gathering data from social media to see people's interest and whatnot in order to decide how we would actually communicate to them. Because basically, for any campaign message that goes out, they are basically telling you why they feel like they are better suited for a particular position. And in order for them to do that, they need to understand you. So, be like, if a political party wants me to get to vote for them, they need to understand my ideals, the kind of things I want to see being done in governance and all that. So once they understand that, then they can then tailor particular messages to hit on that, just to like get me excited. I feel like it's the same for other sectors of business. For instance, social
But
media
Silas,
marketing.
where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line between politics and business, or political infiltration? Where is threat to sovereignty? Because a while back, when we were struggling for independence as a country, there was this whole talk about there were CIA elements looking to destabilize government and all that, where foreign infiltration was not desired, it was maligned, it was targeted as an attempt by neo-colonial forces to not grant us our independence. But then you fast forward 60 years later, and we've become accepting almost of foreign entities playing a subtle but very direct role in our elections. So now people who have data outside, if they are paid the right amount, can decide which way the vote goes in a certain vein. Might be marginal, but it's still very significant. And with technology penetration going up and up, in the next 20, 30 years, where everyone might be fully online in Ghana, these people who offer such services will become even more important. You understand? And what would that mean for our real sovereignty? I mean, the credibility of our elections, where technology could decide who wins what votes without even rigging, by affecting the psyche, by bombarding people with political ads, by backhand lobbying through tech resources and whatnot. I think it spells a very bleak future for politics, sovereignty of a country, and Africa in particular, since even our technology infrastructure is not really independent. And this issue we raised in the last podcast. So what does it mean?
I mean, you raise very solid points. I can't exactly say, or I can't exactly pick where we should draw the line, because as you already mentioned, we are not the ones developing the tech, and then like it's almost like we've already established a contract that we are hooked to. That seems like, based on how technology is being developed, we don't exactly have a say in it. But if you listen, in the previous episode of the podcast, I did mention that given that we don't own these tech platforms, we still generate data that directly sits on these tech platforms. So if the government or anyone who actually cares about in the top position actually cares about how our data is managed, where it goes, who it sits with. An example is the way the US is very careful about how China picks their data from social media.
I was thinking regulation could save us from this impending doom. Legislation and regulation, because you can't obviously curtail technology.
But then if our leaders are the ones patronizing, exactly, do you think they will regulate it?
I don't think so. I mean, it almost seems like we are in too deep.
Yes, because already no one knew about this until recently, until we saw this article that this is what happened. And I think this government is not actually doing some other things with these people.
As well, we're exactly in. But when it comes to government data, there are plenty of places that the data of a country sits. And surprisingly, like even with normal economic data, you tend to realize that you don't get that data from our government. You see it rather from a site like Trading Economics.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the World Health
Economic data,
yeah,
credit rating organizations. Even your data for your electoral commission is not being handled by Ghanaian.
Yeah. So
I think
so when you tend to realize all these platforms all the tech that we are actually patronizing, you tend to realize that we don't exactly have a say in it because we don't own the platforms, or we haven't made the rules and regulations to make sure that whatever data that we put on these platforms are regulated. So until that is done, it was something that would still continue. And then the mere fact that these same political parties also benefit from that to actually come to power, it would actually be, it's almost like, I don't know, if you have Cerelac or you're enjoying some certain kind of food, you'll always want to have like that constant flow of income or whatever goodies you're having.
And how sure are you that this 2020 elections, they are not actually employing the same tactics? And by this time, they even have a lot more resources. They have a lot more resources at their disposal to get them on board.
I'll be relaxed. I'll be relaxed. You.
I'm cool.
Anyway,
but then
I think
it's a
it's
truth.
true.
It makes
Oh, yeah,
sense.
yeah,
It makes
yeah.
sense. Because if it successfully made them outseat an incumbent, why wouldn't they use that same tactic to stay in power? And why would
Yeah.
they use that same tactic to stay in power over like the next decade or so?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it makes
and
sense for them
it's-
to do so
Mhm.
because you want to stay in power. So,
Yeah.
or you you make sure that whatever you do, Charlie, for stay in power.
Yeah. But I mean, aside the selfish reasons we can all understand might account for such a thing. I mean, what does that spell for democracy as a system of governance? What does that spell for it obeying?
It spells doom, DOOM.
Yeah, and
That's what it
and
spells.
and to think that even these and so to think that even these organizations might even be backed by foreign political influences, which would then mean that indirectly individuals or maybe governments might have be a hand somewhat, a covert hand, or they might have a hand in how your elections is going about. Because I heard similar allegations about even Buhari's election, where there were certain corporations running PR for him that were from foreign countries and whatnot. So I should tell you a lot that the tech companies or tech is going to win in the future. And if you're on the wrong side of it, you really be in trouble. And it looks like Africa enjoys being a consumer. And these are some of the consequences, isn't it?
Yes, I mean I think most of the times we do not look beyond the immediate gratification or the immediate solution. We don't look at the fact that, like for example, I was discussing with someone that these days, I've stopped anything personal I post is really thought through. So like usually on my WhatsApp status, I will just post something random, but now I post something there intentionally. And someone asked me that, oh, it was recently your sister's birthday, but I didn't see it on your WhatsApp status. Like, yes, because I don't really want people to associate me with my family publicly anymore. Because
Which makes perfect sense.
Exactly. It has so not that I'm shy of my family, but my sister does. My sister she's
She exercised her right to share her material, isn't it?
Not necessarily that. She's an accountant in a very big firm. She's big. She's not someone I'll be shy of. I'll be shy to show. But then I feel people now show other people's pictures without their permission, and also to some people necessarily are not there for your happiness. They might use that information against you in the future. So now I'm trying as much as possible to really curate the amount of information I give about myself. So in that same light, I feel we should know that whatever goes out, so far as there are eyeballs looking at it, it doesn't go and vanishes. It goes and sticks somewhere. Either it sticks in a server or it sticks in someone's mind, and people refer you to it sometime.
Someone saves it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like for example, something just happened today, and I waited for about 1 month before I say it. Someone called me earlier, so I had a call. I didn't.
You're saying it though.
I'm saying it now, but then in case a person does the right thing, I'll come back and say it. But then for me to go public about it, I'll wait for about a month for
give us an update.
So someone called and I didn't pick it. Then because the person called twice, I knew that maybe it wasn't an important thing, so I'd have called later. Then later another number called. I didn't know the number and I picked it. And the person was like, oh, the person called me like gave me the number. So the person wanted to talk to me about something. So I should call the person. I was like, okay, fine. So let me call the person. So when I called this person, the one I know, and he said that someone is raising funds to go to school. So the person needed an amount of money. So if I can lend them that amount of money and the person will pay back in a week. No, in next week because the deadline was today. I was like, oh, me, I don't, I've stopped lending out money because collecting it is always a hassle. So I'm going to give
Yes.
you one
That's
quarter
true.
of the amount you need, but you don't have to return it. But then the money I have currently is in cash, and my digital platforms are empty. So the money I have currently is in cash. So I'll go out later in the day and what's the name and send it through mobile money or something. I was like, okay, fine. She sent me the number. So later in the evening, I did. So I called the guy that, oh, the one I know that he should find out the name of the guy's account because he sent me the number without the account and he gave it to me. It was the same, and I sent the money. And I was like, okay, I'll send the money to the guy. So if you can confirm, that would be fine. So he was like, oh, the guy has received the money. Can you believe it? So now the guy hasn't called me to thank me, but the guy called me earlier to tell me that, oh, this person wanted to talk to me. You
Yeah,
see,
I mean,
but I'm waiting for about a month.
in the hour of need, you are very desperate for it. But once you're satisfied,
That's why I
like,
support Obey's position on not giving out money because it's
Obviously,
hell to take it back.
if I lended
yeah,
this money to
it
this
is.
person,
It is.
because even now that I've even dashed you the money, I'll call and even say thank you. And it's now
That's a
9
thing.
p.m.
That's a thing.
But I'm waiting for 1 month before I talk. I'm waiting for. I'm petty like that. Anyway.
I mean, there won't be scenarios like that to the extent that even in my scenario, like the person meets the person every day, and like you being a nice person, you really want to bring it up, but like you be like, don't you know you owe?
It's amazing how they suffer from short-term memory once they owe you.
Exactly. It's
okay. Cybersecurity. We're talking about cybersecurity next.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a nice way
my pettiness got us off track. So let's
sidetrack. Exactly.
It's sidetrack.
Yeah.
Yes.
So cybersecurity, and it's a nice segue from what Obin mentioned about not putting out your private material out there because there might be consequences and being extra mindful. And if you listen to our previous episodes with Maxop, even Awo, where we talk about child online safety and how you need permission before posting kids' pictures because there might be consequences and they could probably sue you if they're inappropriate with their material or their image. And also the fact that we have to think through about being digital citizens because there are repercussions to our actions. It should tell you that digital literacy is an underlining factor when it comes to how people perceive themselves. People are yet to understand that the life they live online is not so far from life they live in person. You understand? They are one in the same because we are becoming increasingly integrated. And digital literacy is a fact. But digital literacy is not embedded in any real education, no real setting. I mean, we learn IT, but we don't learn about typical etiquette online in our curriculum. So in our previous podcast, I think the last episode, Max Obeganim was making a case as to how it's important to incorporate it into our educational system. That way people begin to understand that certain things are important. And look at people who post nudes, revenge porn, leaking, and all kinds of stuff. They're not digitally literate, and this has repercussions, you understand? So
but then I feel a lot of young people have thrown caution outside the window when it comes to their online presence. Is it just me or that's the case?
Well, I mean, let me give us a case. Personally, I've seen growth in how I behave online, and Facebook memories is a glaring reminder of how ignorant I was.
Bro, I feel like the same for everyone.
A lot of people on this table. Charlie, sometimes
I am on this table.
You go pull up some to teach. I said, God, I was a child. No. Bro, you see
what is even funny is the pictures. You see the pictures like, hey, me I post this.
Yeah. So I think people should not be in the situation we find ourselves currently, where when we're growing up, we didn't know our left from our right. And the best way is to try and incorporate it into studies and whatnot, because even celebrities are careless online. Look at Tracy Boache, Miss Bell, Trading Blues.
Oh, now Miss Bell, I don't know if she has been released, but she was in the police cells.
Yeah, I heard she was arrested or something. Oh, wasn't she?
Yeah, she apparently said one
what was the crime?
Public personality is HIV positive because of what a pastor told her. And apparently it's criminal to reveal someone's HIV status, whether accurate or not, to the public.
Defamatory, yeah.
Exactly.
Bad.
So
Yeah.
So basically she has been held accountable, and that's what that's why she's in jail. Yeah.
But then how? Okay, well, go to Miss Bell. But then how do we solve this issue of cybersecurity on a personal level or on an individual level, then on from institutions? Because I think when I was in Kenya University, when we were all in Kenya University, we heard of the main website being hacked one time. Also heard of our student records coming under attack by people who want to adjust their grades. So it's an everyday thing to face cybersecurity threats. We don't seem to have come to terms with that reality as people. How do we solve this? Silas?
I feel like from a personal standpoint, you just, as being said, how much information do you want to share online, or how much status do you want? Basically, because people share all this information about themselves because they want.
Maxwell, did you see what his microphone did?
I see, bro.
Wait, what
it went from low.
It had been it small. It had been it. I see.
Oh, don't worry. Oh, keep talking. Like it was very low, then gradually increased.
Yeah.
Anyway,
if you happen like that, I don't know how we can talk this.
Oh, don't worry. Keep
Charlie.
talking. Keep talking. Feel free. Keep talking.
My line of thought is even less than that.
Oh my gosh, I should have said it.
These people, this.
Can anyone remind me about
Sellers? You were saying that it goes down to what you want to share online. That's where you were.
Yeah. How much information you want to share online? Because a clear example is the one Obi mentioned, where given his family members and the relation he has with them, he doesn't want people to like relate certain things to him. More especially given the fact that like right now everything is being recorded, whether mentally or digitally. Yeah. Basically, this conversation right now is being recorded somewhere. Even though we are recording it,
we are recording it in our head.
Another platform somewhere is also has access to this data. So in this current era, it's pretty much difficult to like say you wouldn't share a certain amount of information. For instance, if I want to get your email right now, I could easily go to LinkedIn, search, and actually go to your profile and get every detail about you and how to contact you and stuff. So would it mean that should it mean that then you should stop using LinkedIn? No. Because obviously that's a platform people used to get jobs in, all that. But then when it comes to like
how you use it.
Platforms like Instagram and Twitter, I feel like that's when, or Facebook, that's when people should be more careful. Most especially when it comes to images they post online. For instance, you could see people posting images of their house, their hall, their bathroom, their compound. You're basically telling someone.
You're a real estate agent. Why are you doing that? That's
exactly. You're basically telling someone, "Oh, I have this amount of property here, this and that." Pressure. Given that, if you don't mind, I mean, it works too. Is if you don't mind sharing it, you can at least share it. It's actually related to. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, you're right.
It depends. Right. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. But everything you need to find balance. Everything you have to find balance. And but at the same time, some information is not harmful to share, and some information is. And there's a lot of illiteracy about that, and that's where the problem comes. Because I personally don't support typically private pictures, like even baby pictures being put online. No, you could always level the child predator argument, which is a thing, but like I think I was the one who brought my mind to it in our previous podcast, that the image of the child is their business. And of course, this is an advent that came recently, but typically in the time when social media was not so widespread, parents were not so eager to even put their children out there, talk much more creating a whole account for them and post as if their kids are actually doing it themselves, which is a whole different level where we really need to start asking more questions. And also, more importantly, how in step is regulation when it comes to safeguarding any misuses of the internet? If we tend to have that conversation where we want legislation to at least come close to matching up with the usage, because recently they arrested the one who runs Empress Leaks. I don't know whether you heard it. They arrested the guy who runs Empress Leaks, and he's in prison and all that. And that should tell you. But then the question is, we have laws for indecent exposure and all those things, but there's no real law when it comes to cyberbullying in the country and how he's been able to extort cash by threatening these people's images and whatnot. So I think legislation needs to play catch up, and people need to be aware that they are never safe when they put their material out there, because people could do what they want, how they want with it, and there are no laws to hold them accountable for it. So when this reality hits home, then we get to understand that. So until then, it has to be caution, caution, caution. And I know people tend to be caught up with the whole wind of you have to impress people, you have to prove or justify something to a certain audience, which ordinarily doesn't exist through social media. But sometimes we need to be realistic, and we need to wake up to some things. And I mean, Charlie, if you don't put it out there, what do you lose? Nothing. You don't lose anything.
Yes. All right, so our time is actually up. Guys, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to our wisdom. And you're lucky to have three wise men who would sit down and talk about. Yes.
Before we began the new season 3, you told me that before we began season 2, you told me that you had begun jogging. You still jog?
No, I sleep a lot. I'm tired.
Discipline.
It's not about discipline.
This boy is not. You say he jog Kote road up and down.
He jog more Kote.
You say Kote up and down. They lie pass.
You see, because of you this weekend, I'll go and jog again. But then after like 2 or 3 times, I'll do it again. The thing is that
stay at home has money pony.
I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, like, actually paused for some time because of the fact that people weren't taking the whole coronavirus thing seriously. And when you're jogging, you can't really jog with a mask. It's very uncomfortable. And it's like breathing and everything. So then that's what made me pause. Then I got happy with the fact that I don't have to really overwork myself. And things started pouring in. So like my attention got diverted until it just reminded me that I used to jog. But then we thank God for that. All right, guys. So that's all. So remember to, what's the name? Remember to leave us a message on our social media platform.
Yeah.
And feedback. And also to rate this podcast on whatever platform you are listening to this on.
Exactly.
And that's all from us. See you in the next one.